Hey everybody, it's me, Zach. This is Judy, and welcome back to our channel. Okay, everybody, very exciting stuff today. We're doing another episode 9 of the 1,000 Pound Sisters on TLC, starring the one and only Slayton sisters. Yes, Amy Halterman and Tammy Slayton. You love to see it. I'm very excited to jump into all of the things this week, but before we do that, we do have to get Judy's input today. So Jude, what's up?
Bitches, get out my house. Bitches, get out my house.
Okay, thank you so much, Jude. Appreciate it. Now, there was actually so much stuff that happened offline, off the show. I keep saying offline to describe what happens when they're not on the show. So they have been actively posting on social media over the past week. A lot of the stuff from Amy is actually related to the birth of the baby. I think everybody could tell that this episode was going to be the one where she had her baby. So definitely go check out all of her content because she posted full-on videos on her YouTube channel. She's posted all kinds of pictures on Instagram and I think also on Twitter. Her kid is so cute. You'll definitely go show some love. And I think she also posted the baby registry again. So if there's anything you want to help Amy out with, help Amy and Michael out with when it comes to Gage, definitely go do that if that is something you wish to do. We also had a moment at some point last week. I don't know. There was a time where people were coming in my comments and saying, hey, did you see Chris got hit by a bus? Did you see Chris got hit by a bus? And I'm like, what? Because first of all, I was like, these folks don't even live in a place where bus service outside of schools exists, right? It's not like Chicago where we got constant public transportation going. So it's how in the world did this happen? Well, I come to find out that the reason that people were posting this is because there's a website called Soap Dirt, which I guess covers TLC shows or something like that. I don't know. I'd never heard of it before. But the article headline that they used was Chris Combs from 1,000 Pound Sisters gets hit by a bus. You want to know what happens when you actually go click on the article? If you read through it, y'all. It just talks about him doing the virtual reality game from the show, last episode. Y'all, he did not get actually hit by a bus. I just want y'all, when you see headlines like that, make sure you read through the whole thing. Don't just see the headline and then assume that that's it, because they weren't necessarily lying. In the virtual reality game, he did get hit by a bus. But in real life, he did not get hit by a bus, y'all. It didn't happen. Also, Chris has still been posting on his YouTube channel, so make sure to go watch him there if that is something you wish to do. And then the last little update that I have comes from Miss Tammy Slayton, and she posted a TikTok sometime in the past week that kind of led people to believe that she was in some kind of hospital, rehab facility center, or something like that. But in the comments, well, here, watch the video.
Looks like a girl has got a new hobby. Please don't judge. I just started it. Okay? I don't think it's that bad for my first time. Yeah, that's corny. That's my fingerprints. And it needs to be redone. But honestly, I don't think it's that bad. And I just started the jewelry box. So.
And then in the comments, she mentioned that she was not in the hospital. That doesn't mean that she's not in some kind of other facility. I'm not sure. I didn't reach out to her to ask her because, I kind of feel at this point her health care is her business. If she wants to share that with folks, she will. But a number of people did reach out to me about that specific TikTok, and I was like, listen, she said she's not. So I think at this point, you just gotta trust what she's sharing. So that was mostly it. I think there was probably a few other things here and there, but a lot of it, like I said, was related to the baby coming, and what an exciting moment, what an exciting experience. So that's basically the bulk of this episode. So let's just get into it, okay? So if you remember last week, we finished off with Amy getting scared and needing to go to the hospital because she was experiencing some pain. We get the start of this episode with Tammy talking about how she wasn't able to go to the hospital with them and she's just waiting to hear something because she's concerned. I mean, that's pretty much her role this entire episode, is just her hanging out at home waiting to hear something from Amy. She kind of takes a back seat in the storyline this week. And she's just concerned, okay? But then Amy comes on and she's like, hey, I'm at the hospital. They're doing an ultrasound. You can hear Gage. Here we are. And also, I guess we're fine. I guess everything's fine. I'm just experiencing this old Braxton Hicks, this pain, and I'm just gonna have to deal with it because I'm not dilated, not ready to have this baby. So we're just gonna deal. So Amy and Michael make their way home. They get home and FaceTime Tammy, which leads to this lovely interaction.
Bitch! What are you doing?
Why you got it all up in your booba area?
My booba's got bigger. Oh my goodness.
I just love when they have interactions like that. Like, it really makes my day. I get all the giggles, and I just appreciate their banter. Amy mentions to Tammy that she had to FaceTime her, that she couldn't actually walk next door to see her because the hospital wants her to quarantine prior to having the baby. Now, for me, what I don't understand, like, prior to having the kid, prior going to the hospital and having the baby, like, what good does it do to not include Tammy in their quarantine bubble? That's what I'm confused about, because Tammy's not going anywhere. Tammy, if Michael and Amy aren't going anywhere, then Tammy's not going anywhere. Let's just be very serious right now, right? Like, so I don't understand why she can't, at least leading up to going to the hospital, be a part of their bubble. I understand when Amy and Michael come back from the hospital, why, like, they wouldn't want to potentially give anything they got to Tammy. But the other way around, I don't understand. And then on top of that, it's like, clearly y'all got this camera crew in here filming and a flopping, okay? Like, they're filming everything. You got this camera guy in here, so is he a part of your bubble? I don't understand the logistics of all of that. I mean, things like that are the reasons that I've mostly just kept to myself in this apartment with Noel and Judy. But, you know, the not including Tammy prior to going to the hospital makes not a lick of sense to me. I don't know. Maybe y'all can explain it in the comments. Part of being at the hospital is that Amy finds out that she's gonna for sure probably have to have a C-section because the kid is breached, and by breached, the way that Amy explains it is that he's ass backwards, which is funny because I've always heard people describe things as ass backwards, and I kind of wonder, is like that what it comes from? Is that what it comes from? Like, is a breached pregnancy where the term ass backwards comes from? Can somebody do the Google for me? Because you know what I'm not gonna do right now is pull up the Google and ask where that phrase come from. But if y'all could let me know in the comments, I'd appreciate it. And then some of the things that she starts talking about, like the breached pregnancy, the C-section, the potential complications of having surgery, they repeat these phrases over and over and over and over again throughout the whole episode. I kind of feel like they asked Amy and Michael and Tammy to talk about these things multiple times, and none of them just have like an expansive vocabulary or a way of articulating things, so they just said the same things over and over again. And so TLC just had to use these same phrases over and over again. But I swear in this episode we hear about the breached pregnancy, the C-section, and the concerns over having surgery twice in 1 year over and over and over again. So if it feels like I don't have a lot of commentary, it's because I feel like probably 50% of this episode is just them repeating those things and those statements to us over and over and over again. And certainly I think that they're all important because I know that those are things that they're all legitimately concerned about. So I don't want to take away the seriousness of that. But like, we heard it ad nauseum multiple times. And I just only have so much I can say about that. While Amy is FaceTiming with Tammy, she does ask Tammy how her Charlie horse went, because if you don't remember, while Amy was having the cramps and things like that, Tammy was in the backseat with a Charlie horse, was probably just dehydrated. And Tammy was like, well, I think I'm doing better, but like, I don't know if my potassium is too high or too low. And I'm like, true, potassium is a good thing for you when you're getting cramps, but also if you don't know if you're getting enough, like you can literally read nutrition labels and just like see how much potassium you're consuming for the day. Like, there are ways that you could figure out, like, if you're doing what you need to do. So Amy does have some concerns because now that they're quarantining and things like that, and like the baby's gonna be there soon, she's like, listen, Tammy, are you gonna be okay? Like, do you have groceries? What are you gonna do? And Tammy just gets a little frustrated and says like, listen, don't worry about me. I got it handled. I'm fine. And at this point, I'm kind of like, are you though? Like, are you gonna be okay? I have a lot of questions about that. I have a lot of concerns. I'm interested to know how you're gonna keep getting this food if you don't have a plan. But either way, that's the end of that scene, and 2 weeks pass and we get to the time where Amy and Michael are prepping to go to the hospital. The first scene is like a cute little scene of them putting together all of the stuff, like the bassinet and changing table and things like that. And I just want to say, like, I thought it was so precious. Now, for me, there were other episodes that were like way more emotional for me. I'm guessing for a lot of people, this episode probably really resonated with them, especially for folks who are moms, who want to be moms, who are parents in general. And those are not really like stories that I necessarily relate to, but I will say just seeing Amy happy is a story I relate to, and seeing Amy passionate about like putting together the things, getting her home ready, and getting to meet her baby in this episode was just like V emotional. V emotional. And by V emotional, I mean very emotional. Like, it was just so nice to see her really like getting to live out her dream. Now, during this scene, she does mention that over the past couple of weeks, the pain has been awful, and she has quite the way of describing that pain.
And these past couple of days, these damn contractions are hurt like a bitch. It's like Godzilla wringing your ovaries out. You know what I'm doing? The movement I'm doing.
Which obviously made me giggle a lot, okay? I was giggling. And during this, they also take a little bit of time, and by they take a little bit of time, I'm guessing TLC said, hey, we need to remind the audience that Tammy and Chris are still a part of this whole gig, and it's not just about you having a baby. So could you talk about Tammy and Chris for a little bit? And so Amy obliges, and she says, listen, I'm kind of concerned. I know Tammy's got this appointment coming up, and I just hope she might have lost the weight. But listen, you know what that Chris did? He probably for sure lost that weight. He probably for sure did. And she even says, like, because boys lose weight faster, which is something I've heard. I don't know if that's scientific fact, but she has this to say.
I bet Chris could take a good old healthy lose 5.
Probably.
Which, like, we just love, we just love the Slaytons talking about bodily movements and functions. So thank you so much for that, Amy. I appreciate it. So the next scene we see is Chris outside in his yard. He is working out. He is doing his thing. It looks like he's using a lot of the things, honestly, that personal trainer taught him. Like, it feels very familiar from that episode. And I'm just, like, really impressed. And honestly, I feel like TLC doesn't include clips like this on shows like this unless it means that they're, like, actually making progress and doing the thing. So I feel like this is all going to bode well for our friend Chris and moving forward. I'm really looking forward to continuing to see him succeed. Although I do have a little bit of questions because There's no noticeable difference on his YouTube channel in terms of what he looks like, but I also haven't done any like side-by-side comparisons, so it's hard to say what has actually happened or not. But he does have a conversation with his daughter who moved, his daughter Emily, and they talk about a wide variety of things, just like how he's doing, what his expectations are for when she comes back in the future to visit, about how he's like not going to be cooking bad things, so if she wants those bad things, like she shouldn't expect them at his home. He also talks to her a little bit about managing a fast food restaurant, which really resonates with me when he talks about like how difficult it is to do well while he's working there because he's surrounded by bad things. And I remember the last like year I worked at the Hardee's in my hometown, I was trying to also lose weight at the time, and it was difficult. It was difficult because you get discounts on that food. It was difficult because, you know, at that time I was just learning how to cook for myself in general outside of like the food I cooked at the fast food restaurant. You know, it was tempting. It was tempting to try to eat stuff there, even though I was trying to lose weight, and like fast food doesn't normally lend itself to that in most cases. The other conversation he has with his daughter is about Tammy's progress versus his progress, and Emily asks at some point, like, hey, if you get the chance to get the surgery, but Tammy doesn't, are you going to do it? Like, are you going to do it on, like, without her? Which is, like, deja vu, all these things happening again. If you remember, in season 1, Amy got approved, Tammy didn't, and Tammy was like really upset about that because it's like we were supposed to be doing this thing together. And I predicted quite a few episodes ago at this point, that Chris was going to get approved probably and Tammy wouldn't, and we'd have more conflict like that. And it kind of seems like that's what is on its way to happening, because it seems like Chris is doing what he needs to do and Tammy isn't. And I'm here for Chris doing it with or without Tammy. I think he said at some point, like, he's really tried his best with getting Tammy motivated. And then he said that old adage about the horse, like you can do something with a horse, but you can't lead it to water. I don't remember exactly how it goes, but you know what I mean, right? And he's like, listen, I've done my best, and I'm going to do what I need to do for myself, because I'm here, I'm invested in taking care of my kids, being here with my kids, doing things with my kids, and I love that for him. Honestly, he deserves it. He's been working hard and focusing on himself, bettering himself, and trying to be there for his family, and you can't ask for more than that. So the next thing we get in the episode is Amy and Michael waking up and getting ready to go to the hospital and have the C-section to have Gage. While they're getting ready, Amy asks Michael how he's feeling. Michael gives, like a pretty normal, par for the course response from a first-time dad about like, he's nervous, but he's ready, excited to meet his kid, this, that, the other. And Michael asks Amy the same question, and she says this:
I'm thirsty and I got a fart.
And listen, I'm just ready to accept my fart queen. I love my fart queen. Ain't nobody do it like my fart queen does it, okay? So, Amy, you're the queen of farts. You know, Alice in Wonderland has the queen of hearts. Well, 1,000 Pound Sisters has the queen of farts, and Amy is my queen of farts, okay? I'm obsessed. I was skeptical earlier in the season, but now this is your brand, girl, and I'm here to help you spread it. I'm here to market your brand, and your brand is farts, and we're here. Put it on some merch. Let's get going, Amy. Let's get going. So they're driving to the hospital. They do have a conversation about COVID and how they feel good about like being safe in the actual hospital, but Amy is pretty sad that like her family can't come and see the baby and meet him and do all of this. And that makes a lot of sense. Like, You know, I remember when all of my nephews were born, and I, like, the day of, or as soon as I could, went and saw them in the hospital for both times. If you don't know, I have an older nephew. He's like 18 now. That's wild. And then I have two younger nephews who are twins, so there were only 2 times that I went to the hospital. But yeah, I just remember going there, being there, all my family being there, and all of us just, like, being so happy to meet the new additions to our family. And I can't imagine not being able to not have, like, your family around. So that is pretty much a bummer. And it's also a bummer because, like, why why are we still here? Why is this where we're at in the world right now? Like, I mean, granted, this was happening in November, but, like, why is this where we're at? why haven't things gotten better? Like, I feel like if we could have gotten our shit together, like, Amy's family could have been there, but, you know, we can't have nice things, can we? And then there's also just, like, a really precious moment where Amy's like, listen, please don't leave my side, Michael. Like, I'm scared of the actual surgery, and I don't want you to leave. I want you there the whole time, even during the gross parts. He promises to be there every step of the way. And I'm just like, wow, Michael Halterman, what a man. What a man. Like, Amy is very lucky. What a man, what a man, what a mighty good man. I think there's a song that says all of that. You go look it up. So then the next scene we get really just shook me to my core. I was not expecting Sir Jerry to show back up. Like, Jerry walked into Tammy's house and I'm like, the fuck are you doing here? How did you get here? Where did you come from? I was shook. I was shook and shocked. Shook, shocked, and bewildered is what I was, okay? I had no plans for him to be coming back on this season whatsoever, and here he is. Now, I will say, just in case you haven't watched all my other videos, like, there is confirmation from Tammy herself that she was single, at least the last time that I looked. I kind of get the impression that still might be the case, but she posted on TikTok that she was single. So Jerry might be there for this episode, but he's not in the picture currently at this moment, as far as I know, allegedly. There's also a moment where Jerry asks Tammy if this makes her want to have kids or something like that. And she's like, no, I really don't. Which, like, somebody in my comments on another video was like, oh, Tammy really does want to have kids, but you know she just says she doesn't want to because of her size and she wouldn't actually be able to have it. And I'm like, no, I get the impression she really just doesn't want kids. Like, Amy felt the same way. Like, Amy wanted kids but couldn't because of her weight, and she said it, okay? Tammy, it's wild for some people out there, because I get this response too when I tell people I don't want kids, but, like, the reality is that some people just don't want to have children. And let me be clear, I was an elementary education major. I enjoy kids in that context. Like, I enjoy teaching them. I enjoy my nephews. But having kids for myself, no thank you, no ma'am. No ma'am. So I'm right there with you, Tammy. But either way, when she says she doesn't want them, Jerry affirms that and says, well, I don't want any more either. Okay, sis, well, we kind of knew. We kind of knew that you were not interested in having any kind of relationship with Tammy, let alone having kids with her. So nobody was concerned about y'all having kids. I just want to put that out there. So Tammy mentions that Jerry is there to help keep her mind off of worrying about Amy and to help her out while Amy and Michael are quarantining and at the hospital and this, that, the other, which I thought was interesting because now you kind of know why Tammy's like, listen, I got it handled, because she knew Jerry was on his way. She knew Jerry was on his way. She was like, I don't need you, Amy, for your food. I got my man coming. He'll take care of me. She also talks about wanting to kidnap Jerry, which made me kind of uncomfy.
No, you're kidnapping you.
Nah, you can't do that.
You can.
You can't make me do nothing.
Are you sure about it?
Yeah.
And then Jerry asked her about how the diet was going, which led into a discussion about an upcoming weigh-in that was going to happen with Chris and in some foreseeable future. I don't think she actually says at this point how long that is, which is also just something to be aware of, that, like, It's very possible that these different conversations and things happened out of order and outside of this timeline. In fact, I think Amy commented on my last week's episode with something about how like the psychic thing had been filmed way back in July, but then we know that the meet and greet happened in September, but the meet and greet aired first, right? So just keep in mind that some of this stuff could have happened at any time, and they're just splicing it all together in the way that tells the story that they see fit. So when they're having this discussion about how the diet's going, Tammy kind of slides into this like, oh, Chris isn't doing enough to like push me to help me to lose weight. Which I'm like, from everything we've seen this season, Chris has been going above and beyond to try to like help motivate you, help get you the skills you need, help do all of these things. So I'm confused. I don't see what you're seeing. I mean, it's possible off camera things look different for sure, 100%. But I was like, Tammy girl, I'm not seeing what you're seeing. And she does ultimately end up talking about this like deal they have with each other where they said that they were going to call each other if they were ever feeling like extreme temptations. But then she says neither of us have upheld our end of that deal, which I think speaks more to maybe what's going on is like she's not doing what she needs to do, period. So the next scene we see is Amy getting all hooked up to all the medical equipment. She does talk a little bit about like how the medical equipment is difficult because she is plus size and bigger than other patients, and I guess that's interesting. I'm mostly just excited to see her get ready to have this baby and see what happens. So I kind of was just like, okay, let's get to it. I wasn't too focused on what they were talking about because I was just like, you better show me this damn baby. So she eventually does go in to have the C-section. She comes out, she's in recovery, and she talks about how they took Gage into the nursery because he had low blood sugar, I think, so they were trying to make sure that everything was okay with that. But she did talk about how she heard her baby crying for the first time and how it made her cry. And there I was a little bit emotional because I was just like, I can't imagine what that must feel like knowing that everything was okay, that he was breathing, that like this goal you've had your whole life is coming to fruition. And I was just like, oh my gosh, that must have been such a moment. She also had a little moment talking about how Gage came into the world that I just feel like I need to share with everybody.
He came out mooning the doctor.
Oh, he did?
Yes. I asked him if he farted.
And listen, I welcome you, our fart prince. I'm so happy to have you. We love our fart queen and our fart prince, truly. They also showed this clip of Amy meeting her baby.
Are you ready to meet your baby?
Uh.
I'll put it next to your skin here.
Looking at Gage, I just see his whole future, basically. I see him going off to college. It's an emotion you can't really talk about because you just love him so much, you don't have words to explain how much you love him so much.
And honestly, it's so precious. I mean, like I said, I personally don't want to have children, not never, but like I definitely felt moved by this moment. I thought he was adorable. I thought it was so cute. Like, he is such a little nugget, and I just was like, this is cute. This is cute. I love this. And she does film a little bit of like a video that she says is for her channel, which is actually up on her channel now. But she also filmed like a much longer, like, here's Gage, like, here he is, meet him. So I would encourage y'all to go watch that too, because I know some of y'all say that you don't even watch the actual show or that you don't have cable, so you just check my channel to get like the updates and things like that. So if you want to like get to know Gage a little bit more, see Gage a little bit more, she has all kinds of videos up on her channel, so go check them out. So the next scene is Tammy and Jerry eating popcorn and watching a movie. And wow, what a moment. But they get a call from Amy and Michael to let them know that Gage was born. And honestly, Jerry seems more excited about this baby being here than Tammy does.
Michael, congratulations. Congratulations, y'all.
Thank you.
I will say, I feel like Tammy isn't super great at articulating things or expressing her emotions, so I think that she probably just didn't know what to say or how to say it in the moment. I think, like, by the end of this scene, you can see that Tammy, in her own way, is excited about the baby being there and is looking forward to it. I mean, she does say it in her own way that only she could really describe it.
Amy really wanted a family and have a baby. I'm glad she got her wish. Excuse me.
Tammy also talks about how the baby looks like Michael, which is something that a lot of people have mentioned throughout the episode. But she says that he looks like Michael because he doesn't have any teeth or hair, just like Michael, which also got a good solid chuckle from me. And Tammy's excited to be Gage's aunt, in particular to be his favorite aunt. She says that her other nieces and nephews always talk about how she's the favorite aunt, which I could see that being a thing. Like, she's pretty happy-go-lucky for the most part, as long as you're not like pushing her to do something she doesn't want to do. So I could see like her nieces and nephews warming up to her, thinking she's great, thinking she's wonderful. So finally, Amy and Michael make their way home with Gage, and once they get there, they do have to quarantine. And this is the quarantine that makes sense to me, right? Because they just came from this hospital with all these different people, and potentially who knows who they could have came in contact with. That makes sense to me that they wouldn't go and hang out with Tammy after the fact. Like, they don't want to get Tammy sick. Like, and or if Tammy's come in contact with anybody, I guess they probably don't want Gage to come in contact with whatever that is. With that being said, the only person that we've seen her come in contact with is Jerry, and then I guess potentially any filming crew. So those are some questions that I have, and you're gonna see why here as we keep going, okay? Because Tammy, during this little FaceTime call, keeps talking about how she feels under the weather. And that got me to thinking. I literally paused the video and I was like, listen, we know, collectively, the community knows that Sis posted a video back in November stating that she had COVID and pneumonia, right? So I went back, so this is the video, and she posted this video on November 26th.
Excuse the ugly situation with my face, whatever. I just kind of want to update. I did end up getting tested positive for COVID. Finally, I mean, after all this, I finally just now got it. Here it is, November. I mean, I wish I didn't get it, but it is what it is. I also have pneumonia, so that's why I haven't been posting, talking back or whatever, so please forgive me. I am getting out of the hospital soon. This is my 3rd week. I was sick a week, in the hospital for a week and a half, so almost 3 weeks. But I'm doing great, and I'll be out soon and back to my old self, doing my videos, living the best life. But I love you, and I'll talk to y'all later.
So as you saw in that video, she said that she had been sick with all of this for like 3 weeks, and part of that 3 weeks she had been in the hospital for like a week and a half. So I'm like, 3 weeks? Well, that puts it around like the time that Gage was born, because Amy told me Gage was born on November 10th. Okay? So I'm like, oh my gosh, Zach, you cracked the code. Look at you, Detective Zach over here. Nancy Drew is on the case. Hardy Boys who? Well, all of that detective work, and then I find out at the end of the episode, they put up the little screen text to let us know that a couple of days after Gage came home, she tested positive for COVID. So that is unfortunate, obviously. Like, I think we all know at this point, though, that Tammy made it through all of that. But it does lead me to a lot of questions about how she got it. Because Jerry was the only person she saw, and I assume that the people filming and stuff like that are wearing masks and things, but you never know, truly. It's hard to say. It's hard to say how she got it. So they do take some time to talk about Tammy's upcoming appointment, but I think it's clear she's not going to make it to whatever that is, or whenever that is. Honestly, I think that getting sick with COVID and pneumonia probably derailed her entire progress, if she was making any prior to that anyways. So we'll kind of just have to see what happens in future episodes. That's where we leave off. They love to leave off with a cliffhanger about somebody's health and well-being. So, tune in next week and we'll see what happens, okay? All right, so you let me know down below, how did you like this episode? I thought it was super cute. I'm so glad that Amy's gonna have this, for the rest of her life. She's gonna be able to go back and see this episode and see the time where her kid was born, and she's gonna be able to show that to Gage too, which I just think is so cute as well. That's all I have for today. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you're brand new to my channel, I hope you'll consider subscribing down below. I have a whole Slayton Sister playlist, but I also do a lot of other ridiculous shenanigans here on my channel too, so feel free to check them out. So make sure to subscribe, hit the bell button, leave me some comments, some likes, and click the share button, and follow me on all of my social media. I had a whole lot of fun today. I hope you did too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!